की, नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की। वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, नवदीप धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की, यमुना माई की, श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. नमो विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पस्ताय भूतले श्रीमते वीर कृष्ण गोस्वामी निति नामने नमो हंस निकाशया प्रभुपदा प्रियाते शुद्धि निष्ठ बेम तस्य वाक्यानुवादिने. Good morning again. It's Wednesday. Hare Krishna to everyone. Hare Krishna and welcome to all our Mayapur online TV viewers also, and ISKCON Sydney YouTube and Facebook. So this morning we are going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, labeled Devahuti's Lamentation. And the text for this morning is text 56. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate natirtha pada sevayai jivan api mrito hi saha. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate natirtha pada sevayai jivan api mrito hi saha. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate natirtha pada sevayai jivan api mrito hi saha. Natirtha sevaya jivan api mrito hi saha. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate napata sevayai jivan api mrito hi saha. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate natirtha pada sevayai jivan api mrito hi saha. Nehayat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate, na tirthapada sevaye, jivan api mrito hi saha. Okay. Na, not, iha, here, yat, which, karma, work, dharmaya, for perfection of religious life. Na, not, viragaya, for detachment. Kalpate, leads, na, not, tirtha pada, of the Lord's lotus feet. Sevaye, to devotional service. Jivan, living. Api, although. Mrita, dead. He, indeed. Saha, he. Okay. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki. Right. Okay. So, translation of this verse. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Okay, so we can all repeat. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. That's heavy. So the purport, Devahuti's statement is that she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, which does not lead to liberation from material entanglement. Her life was simply a waste of time. Any work one performs that does not lead to the state of religious life is useless activity. Everyone is by nature inclined to some sort of work. And when that work leads to one to religious life, and religious life leads one to renunciation, and renunciation leads one to devotional service, one attains the perfection of work. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, any work that does not lead ultimately to the standard of devotional service is a cause of bondage in the material world. Yajnarthat karmano nyarta lokayam karma bandhana. Unless one is gradually elevated to the positional devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body. Wow. Work which does not lead one to understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless. Okay, that's a heavy statement for this morning. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vande Ham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Wow, so this morning we have a statement from none other than Devahuti. She is a very elevated soul, and her husband is another elevated soul, Kardama Muni. And she has been serving her devotee husband. It's not like she was, serving any ordinary soul. She had a very highly elevated devotee husband, and despite serving a devotee husband, she is saying, she believes that, a married life, in enjoyment of her husband, she will fall, or she will forget Krishna. So what to speak of us? And we are all struggling devotees. That is Devahuti's statement. She actually produced 9 daughters, and each one of those 9 daughters were highly elevated souls too. Like the other day we talked about Anasuya, who made God turn into babies, and then Durvasa Muni, and who was the other one? Dattatreya, and Chandra. I mean, even her daughters were so elevated, the 9 daughters, who were produced out of, her need to enjoy her husband. And despite all this, she's saying that she is going to fall. So what does this actually indicate? It indicates that she's on a level of intelligence. Now, a lot of statements could be said that women are not intelligent, or they are or of an inferior nature. But actually, as soon as the intelligence is used for Krishna consciousness, then they become very elevated, and they are no longer inferior. Actually, they are Vaishnavis, and that same goes to Vaishnavas as well. Each one of us have the intelligence. Now, there are two things. One is, on one side you've got your intelligence, and on the other side you've got your karma, your activities. So here she is saying, my activities may not be Krishna conscious, and I might fall. And that is actually the prediction each one of us have. So if you are working, which I am, and if it doesn't lead to bhakti, then it is, according to this shastra here, it's useless, totally useless. So what are we to do? I mean, this is material world. Each one of us has to work. We have to pay the bills. If we have a family, we have to look after the family. If you are, entering the world, you need to save up some money so that you can have a life afterwards. I mean, we need money. So what are we to do? That's the big question. And that's the question Devahuti has raised. Actually, I'm quite reminded of this particular chapter, Devahuti's lamentation. When I was living here in the Brahmacharini ashram, there was a Brahmacharini ashram here. We were studying the same chapter, same chapter here. So I'm doing this a second round for Gopinath. And we were discussing this. And in those days, there were the ladies, they were young girls, and they were mostly Western girls. And we were, and in fact, one of the girls' name was Devahuti. She was initiated, her name was Devahuti. We used to tease her, Devahuti's lamentation, because of this chapter we were reading. Those were good old days. So enjoy the days that you've got here, because these are fun times. When you become a mature devotee, then you will be more serious, and you'll seriously involve yourself in devotional service, hopefully. But this chapter is telling you of the gradual advancement. So you are here at this stage, and then the next stage, and then the next stage. So enjoy every stage. And Krishna will give you challenge at every stage, so that you can progress to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So at every stage of advancement, you will get a huge test. And that test is a choice. You will be given with a choice. Either you choose this or you choose that. So at every point, if you choose to stay with devotional service, then you will advance despite the obstacles. So I'm going to give you a really nice story. Actually, I was going to refer to my phone because I can read directly. It's from Bhagavad Gita. Actually, this chapter, this particular shlok, entire Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, it applies to this. So I took out a story from the Bhagavad Gita. It is actually one of my favorites, I think 6.24. It's about a little sparrow. I've spoken about this once before, I think. This little sparrow is a bird, right? And we are just like this bird. And when we are given these challenges of devotional service, we are given this choice of working like I have been. And if it doesn't lead to bhakti, if it doesn't increase my bhakti, obviously I'm in danger. So this little sparrow also, I would take the principle applied by this little sparrow that we should all apply in our lives. So I can apply in my life too. If I'm working, I should be like this little sparrow. So this little sparrow had some eggs, right? These eggs were taken away by the ocean. And this little sparrow was lamenting, my eggs have been taken away from the ocean, by the ocean. So she went to the ocean. This is in the Bhagavad Gita, by the way. So she went in the purport. So she went to the ocean and said, return my eggs. Can you do that? If you lose something in the sea, you drop your mobile phone. You're having a nice time on the boat and your mobile phone drops in the sea. It's happened. You tell the sea, can you give me back my mobile phone right now? I want it back. Never coming back. So anyway, she went to the ocean and said, return my eggs. And the ocean didn't. No matter how much she begged or screamed or whatever she did, the ocean didn't. So then she said to the ocean, if you don't return my eggs, I am going to drink you. She's a tiny little sparrow. I'm going to drink all of you. Actually, Agastya Muni, right? He's drunk the ocean before, so it's happened before. But this little sparrow was saying, I'm going to drink you. And she decided, the ocean laughed at her. And she drank the ocean drop by drop, little by little. And it was the determination. You return my eggs, otherwise I'll drink the ocean. So then the word got around that this little sparrow is fighting the ocean. What happened then? Does anybody know this story? Yes. Garuda, Lord Krishna's ride, the bird, he heard it. And he thought, wow, this little sparrow, we must help. So he came in assistance for this little sparrow. And he threatened the ocean, I will drink you if you don't return the eggs. And the ocean returned the eggs after that, out of fear for Garuda. So what has this got to do with us, and what has this got to do with our jobs? Well, we have to apply the same kind of determination. Krishna, we cannot lose you. We cannot forget you. Whatever we are doing in this material world is dovetailed into serving you. So the money that you earn, or the glory that you earn, the fame that you earn, all applied to Krishna. So that's the tricky part, how to apply. And so I have got a class by Srila Prabhupada in 1974. I wrote some notes down. I'll read from there too. But the tricky part is we are working, we are doing whatever it is we are doing, how to apply it. And this is Devahuti's question here. She's saying, give me a son, or someone, give me direction. And each one of us, we need the same thing. Where to go, how to do it, we are bewildered. We are living our mundane lives and we think, is it going in the right direction? How to do this? So what's the secret? Srimati Radharani. She gives us the love for Krishna. So love for Krishna has to be there. She gives us the connection. So she's the Ladini Shakti of Lord Krishna. And devotional service, when both are combined, devotional service and Ladini Shakti, both are combined, then you are on a very high platform. So at every step, we have to please Srimati Radharani. That's the secret. So that's a huge secret. For those of us who are initiated or are under a guru, they will be given the right guidance. So why did I mention the guru? Guru is a representation of Srimati Radharani. In other words, your spiritual advancement cannot proceed without blessings of the guru, who is a representation of Srimati Radharani. Who is the topmost devotee in devotional service to Krishna? Topmost. Who's the best? Radharani. Yeah. So we have got to please her. It's not easy to please her. That's another thing. I mean, even Krishna has a hard time pleasing Radharani. We've come across so many stories. He has to really, really work hard to please her. But actually, she has the heart of a mother. And mothers are more benevolent than fathers. It's a fact. So actually, as a child, as Radharani's child, because she's our mother, she will certainly help us, just like Garuda helped the little sparrow. So that is the essence of this class. And I was actually listening, because in preparation for this class, I thought, let me get my guru's philosophy on this. What's his take on this? And he said in his class, he said, obviously, we have to work, but we've got to dovetail that into service of Krishna. In other words, anyhow, we have to apply that to Krishna. And he said the secret for that, in his perspective of this, was to be able to get the taste. Because going through the rituals of devotional service, ritualistic, like I'm doing everything right, I'm doing this right, I'm doing that right, I'm following all the rules into, say, altar worship. Okay, so you do step 1, step 2, step 3, you say this mantra, you say that mantra, this is the purification process, this is the timing, this is the etiquette, this is the cleanliness standards. So we are following everything, even the mudras. He was saying we do the mudras, those things. I learned the mudras too, like that, from one, it was actually one brahmachari at that time. He's now a grihastha in Adelaide. He knew all of this. His name is Narad Krishna. He's a Jayapataka Maharaj disciple. He taught me this, the mudras. He said, you even go through the mudras. But what use is it if it doesn't give you the taste of loving Krishna? In other words, you have to develop all those things as a love of God. It's not going to deliver you if we follow everything ritualistically. So in other words, get the taste. You have to get the taste. And he said the best way he actually explained it was the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily, routinely. Do we get the taste of the holy names? Do we get attached to Krishna? Do we get this is Krishna, this is, he wears the peacock feather, and, this is how he looks, how beautiful he looks, this is the naughtiness of it, this is what he did, this is how he relates to Rishdamai. So we've got to get the taste. In other words, following everything ritualistically is not going to help us in advancing. That is a fact. So, and then he said, even, I remember very clearly, he said, even chanting the Jai Radha Madhav this morning we chanted. He said, even then, do you think of Krishna in that way, or are you just going through the standard procedures automatically, like robots, he said. So he said, when you sing Jai Radha Madhav, Jai Kunja Bihari, he's the Krishna in the kunjas, in the forest. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha, he is a friend of gopis. He's a lover of gopis. So we have to think along that side. Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girvardhari, he lifts up the Govardhan hill on the left hand. So Yashodanandan, he's beloved of Yashoda Mai and son, Vraja Janarandar. He resides in Vraja Bhumidham, and then he does his pastimes in Yamuna. So when we are even singing that, he said, think of that, those activities of Lord Krishna. In other words, get the taste. And that actually means Radharani. Radharani gives a taste. She gives the love of Krishna. So in a roundabout fashion, and that's what it was, and that's what he said. And that is Devahuti's dilemma here. She's saying, I'm going through the ritualistic activities of serving a devotee husband and getting materially entangled. How am I going to be delivered? Someone on such a high level, she's worried. So what to speak of us? Okay, so what does Prabhupada say? So Prabhupada's um, conclusion is that so-called civilization, advancement of so-called civilization, material world, means how much you are able to gratify your senses. That's material life. In other words, how much can you earn, how much can you enjoy, how many friends you can have, how much fame you can have, how much victory you can have. It is all, sense gratification, your own ego or your own enjoyment. So he says this is the modern world idea. More eating, more drinking, more merry, and enjoy. Christmas is coming, by the way. Everybody's going to be enjoying. It's not new. He says in India, food preparations, if you have no money, then beg, borrow, or steal, then eat ghee. This is directly from him. In other words, we do anything and everything to get the taste. So he calls it the people become diseased by sense gratification. People become diseased by sense gratification. Too much sense gratification means creating diseases. E.g., example, eating nice sweet creates indigestion immediately. Everyone is in pursuing wealth, power, sex, luxuries, family, property, assets, and money. All this, diseased. So, what does this lead to? More material entanglement. And that is disease. And this is Devahuti's fear right here. She is worried that she will get entangled. And what happens is when we get materially entangled, we get another body. We come back, right back here. And I was going to read chapter 6, but I don't know if I have time, so I'm just going to summarize it, what I read. Arjun also said to Krishna, he said basically the same thing. And Krishna also gave him the same message. There is a very nice, actually I will actually read it from there because it's a very wonderful, I try to apply this in my life too, when I have the consciousness to remember it. That's the thing about not being able to remember. You actually, now I've forgotten exactly which, what was it, 26th, 28. He says, from whatever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw and bring it back under control of the self. So that actually means you control yourself, you control your mind. And that's how you can achieve cope with the pushings and pullings of the material world, the desire for sense gratification. Text 27 reads, chapter 6, the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. The self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. So here is one of the very nice things he says, text 30. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor he is ever lost to me. That was a question I asked my own spiritual master one day. I said to him, I don't like working here because it's keeping me away from the temple. What do? I don't like it. Because in those days I was very fired up for, just like brahmacharis here. You want to be in the temple, you want to chant, you want to do devotional service, you want to go on the altar, you want to sing, you want to give classes, you want to cook. I wanted to do all of those things. I've done all those things. So you are on that stage as well. We'll all go through that stage. And so the work was last thing on my mind. I didn't want to stay there. So my spiritual master returned the email and said, try to see Krishna in everywhere and everything. In other words, he was basically quoting the Bhagavad Gita. That Krishna here said, text 30, for one who sees me everywhere and everything in me, I'm never lost. Nor is he ever lost to me. So I was thinking, how can I see him at work? So then I devised a plan. I had my own cubicle, and it was like a notice board, and I pasted Krishna's pictures everywhere in a work situation, trying to see him everywhere. Anyway, you do what you have to do. So, such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of Supersoul, knowing that I am the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings. So here Arjuna is saying the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think it is more difficult than controlling the wind. So Lord Krishna says, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. In other words, practice, 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 practice. Association, taking the class. Actually, we should make a point of listening to Srimad Bhagavatam class every day, some kind of lecture. That keeps us in the practice. It keeps reminding us. We need reminding every day. So try to attend Srimad Bhagavatam class, whether it's your guru or whether it's another guru or whether it's in the temple. We have to listen from an elevated soul or a higher, higher level devotee. In other words, someone who's been practicing, advanced devotee, let's put it that way. Listen from them every day. That's a reminder. Take time out. Obviously, you will chant and try to get the taste. So Arjun said here, okay, let's take this for take a short break and get your minds to think a little bit, because otherwise you'll fall asleep. I'll give you a scenario. So you are practicing, and suddenly, you become unsuccessful. Like you've been trying, you've been, doing your service, you've gone through all the procedures, and but you are not successful. What happens to you then? You tried, because it happens to most of us. We fall, or we just not successful. We don't achieve. What happens to us in that particular situation? Ideas? No ideas? Wow, aren't you scared? What if you're not successful? You are practicing devotional service here. What if I'm not successful? I'm always scared. What if, I've been practicing Krishna conscious in this life. I don't know about my last life. Oh, actually, I do remember about my last life. I had some, anyway, we won't go there. But, so this life, I've been practicing Krishna consciousness, for these years, and if I don't succeed, if I don't advance, if I fail, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to you? Any ideas? Yes? Yes, that's one. Another human birth. Yes, we'll continue from where you left. That's what's going to happen. It's correct. You will continue from where you left. That's basically the bottom line. So Krishna said in this Bhagavad Gita, he said to Arjun, because Arjun was saying, what if I'm not successful? So let me just scroll down here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Partha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does, in this spiritual world, who does good. My friend, so he considers that person to be his friend. He said, my friend is never overcome by evil. Never. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So something good's there. In other words, if you have gone, you've become a yogi and you've reached a kind of an advanced level, you will go to the higher planets after this birth and enjoy over there with the living entities. And after that, you will come down and be born in a rich family. So those people who are born in rich families, it is to be assumed that they must have been transcendentalists at some stage of their life, and then they fell, or they were not successful. So this is the result. They would have gone to higher planets, enjoyed over there, come back. So that's what's going to happen to you if you are not successful. And then, by taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. And then he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. So yes, this is in the Bhagavad Gita. It tells you, Lord Krishna says himself, you will continue from where you left off. And he actually tells you, I will carry whatever it is that you are lacking. I will preserve what you have. So he's going to preserve all the bhakti you've done. So all the bhakti I've done in this life, I can tell you that in last life I wasn't practicing bhakti. So, but I was in a dham. So even by living near the temple, you can become a devotee. So in this life you do. So you become, and the person who was with me in the last life also became a devotee in this life, aspiring for the same guru. So you are in the dham. And so this actually proves, if you want to know, if somebody tells you, where are we going to go? You can quote from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 44. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection, after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. It's a long process. But Srila Prabhupada has given us a quick way. We chant the 16 rounds. And we are in devotional service, and we have a guru, and we have association. All of that gives us the opportunity of making it in this life, not many, many births. So it is possible to make it back to Godhead in this life. So I was reading from these notes that I made of Prabhupada's class in 1974. He said you can apply the same ingredients for Krishna. He said, and the example he gave was, this is the same brick, stone, and cement that we use to make, material buildings. And it's the same brick, stone, cement we use to make a temple. So he said the ingredients are the same. So whatever it is that you have, the ingredients are the same. One is not applied to Krishna, and the other one is applied to Krishna. That's what he said. So whatever you have, dovetail it. In my Guru's words, he also said, dovetail it. Means you apply it to Krishna. And then this was the example I used back then also. He said, you use the same ingredients to make a nightclub, a dance hall, and then you go to hell after that. And it is the same ingredients. You apply the same to make a temple. You make a nightclub, you go to hell. You make a temple, we go back to Godhead. And he said it's the same dancing. You dance in the nightclub, you can, you will go to hell. But if you dance for Krishna here, you will be spiritually advancing and progressing because you are dancing for Krishna. So apply the same dance moves, but just do it here. And we do dance here. So he says, you will immediately draw attention of Krishna. And that is bhakti. In other words, draw attention of Krishna. He said, ballroom dancing may lead to hell, but dancing for Krishna, that gives you liberation. So dance for Krishna, eat for Krishna, print books for Krishna. He said it's the same eating, same dancing, same work, but all for Krishna. So this is what Devahuti's lamentation is. It is her question. How? I'm serving a devotee, but I'm getting more and more entangled. So do what Prabhupada told us to do. Dance for Krishna, eat for Krishna. Whatever you eat must be prasadam. Sing for Krishna. If you have a nice voice, sing for Krishna. Even I used to sing Bollywood songs once upon a time. But it is actually singing those Bollywood songs got me singing for Krishna today. So you have to start somewhere, right? So, but you dovetail that to Krishna consciousness. So that will reduce our tendency for sense gratification. So, and then he said, this is the example I just told you. He said, people do not know, so we have to use our intelligence. So here, Devahuti has used her intelligence. In fact, each one of us who have turned to Krishna, we've used our intelligence. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, there was like a lot of people say, that women are less inferior or something like that. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has said that I am the intelligence in women, in chapter 10 somewhere. He's the intelligence in women. So intelligence is a very useful tool if applied to bhakti. So intelligence, yes. He said, I am the intelligence in women. And we've got to apply that. In here, Devahuti is applying her intelligence, asking these questions. Use it. I actually had my own realization. Prabhupada had come in my dream. And he told me to be intelligent. I woke up and I said, am I stupid? I thought I was stupid. That's why I say, you're stupid, be intelligent. So I had to think about it for years. What does he mean, be intelligent? Use my intelligence. He just meant that whatever problems I had, apply it for bhakti, use it for bhakti. Use your intelligence, turn to Krishna. Chant more. Use your intelligence. He told me that in my dream. So hopefully I have used my intelligence. Oh, actually I did. I started reading books. Apply your intelligence somewhere. So I started reading Nectar of Instruction or Devotion at that time, or I'm not sure which book it was, but I started reading. I thought this is intelligence. But actually it did help because it gives you direction, so you become a devotee. And then that is the fact that when you become more and more entangled and you use your intelligence, you go to a guru, then that will reduce. Your entanglement will reduce. Otherwise, he said, if we are becoming more and more entangled, we don't have a guru, we don't use our intelligence, we don't apply it to Krishna, then we accumulate karma. Whether you're a devotee, initiated or not, you accumulate karma. And then we live for some time, then we die, then we acquire another body, and again we live again and we die again. And we do not know what kind of body we will get. So that is entanglement. If we want to be free from entanglement of karma, then we must work for Krishna. Material activities, we become entangled, more and more diseased. So we have to apply all the activities to Krishna. And that is what chapter 6 is telling us. I had this question and I asked the deities here one day. I had no one to ask. By the way, if you don't have Guru, Shastra and Sadhu, then you have one more option. You come to the deities and you ask them. And they will answer you in one way. And I said, what if I come back to somebody who is, whatever it is, they have either damaged me or something, and it could be family, it could be friends, it could be someone at work, it could be someone even in the temple. What if, next life I have to come back and, do the same to them? I don't want to do that. And, it is in the mind, this person has done this. So if you think like that, instead of thinking of Krishna, you're thinking of something that's happened, catastrophe that has happened, traumatic experience, whatever it is. What if, next life, or if I'm more attached to something else other than Krishna? Let's put it that way. If you are attached to someone, it has happened. In the past life, you're with someone, there's a strong bond. Again, in this life, you'll come back, and they'll be there together with you again, yet again. So how do you stop this cycle? You have to come back and take your revenge, or you have to, complete, there's something left over, and you have to complete it in this life. I have to come back again. My question was, I don't want to do that. And then there was a very good answer I got. And it's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's that shlok, Yat Karosi. You might know that one. It says, whatever you do it for me. That was the answer. Whatever you do it for me. And then there will be no reaction. There'll be no karma accumulated. Then you don't have to come back and finish it. So that was the answer I got from the deities. Straight from there. Whatever you do it for me. That was my answer I got. So I'm sharing that with everyone in the hope it will help someone. Hopefully nobody thinks this Mataji is in a la-la land and always talking about Krishna. But you have to, somewhere you have to get your guidelines. Somewhere you have to understand if you don't have access to Guru or somebody to tell you, you want the right answer. So in this question, this dilemma that coming back to Devahuti's question, I'm getting more and more materially entangled. I will get birth again, or I might have to come and work with Kardama Muni again next life. She didn't want to do that. She wanted to be with Krishna. She didn't want to come back. The question, same question she's raised, same question I raised to the deities. I don't want to be entangled, don't want to come back, face the same person again and again and again, face this person in last life, this life, next life. Not just the one person, maybe there are many others. We just see each other again and again. Maybe I had the same parents, who knows, I don't remember them. But, that was the question I raised also. So Krishna said, Gopinath said, whatever you do it for me. He said this to Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. Same thing. Fix your mind on me. Gurudev said the same thing. Get the taste. Focus, meditate. Even on Jai Radha Madhav, if you are singing, if you're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you focus on Krishna. And Prabhupada in this class has said, I'm just sort of summarizing everything. Apply all the ingredients to Krishna. Instead of making a nightclub, make a temple. Instead of dancing in a nightclub, dance for Krishna. All the ingredients you have, find a way, use your intelligence, and that's where your intelligence comes in. Use your intelligence applied to Krishna. Then there is no karma. There is no accumulation of karma. You don't have any reaction. You don't have to take another birth. That was the whole story in conclusion. And we know this. Everybody tells us every day. But it's just coming to the point of realization. That, okay, yeah, this is the idea. You just have to realize, understand it. And it's good to ask questions. Always ask questions. Anyway, I'll conclude over here. If there are any comments or questions, I'll take one. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. 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 Yes, correct. Yes. 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 Okay. So the question is that what happens when we worship somebody other than Krishna? What happens to those people? They don't study the Bhagavad Gita, but they study something else. So maybe the Rig Veda or Yajur. They are then facilitated because Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever you have, I will preserve. So whatever bhakti they have done either to demigods or some other religion, yes, but in good faith, in sincerity, because they are, again, they don't know what is wrong or right. They don't know. Because if you will speak to somebody from another religion, they'll say, this, my God is God. That's what they will say. So if they have done that sincerely, have not hurt anyone, have had some, in other words, accumulated some pious deeds. There's a difference between, this was just a recent class, there's a difference between pious deeds and transcendental. Transcendental is devotional service to Krishna. Pious is just in the mode of goodness, doing something in the mode of goodness. So those who are worshipping demigods and things in the mode of goodness, they will get some benefit in spiritual advancement. In other words, they will be facilitated to go one step higher. In other words, they will progress, although a little bit slower. So they might have to take many births. But whatever birth they do get, they will be given the facility to advance. Just like I said to you earlier, I remembered what I was before. I was not a Hare Krishna devotee before. However, I was born in a very pious, not pious, a religious, it was like a dham, a very pure, godly place. Just by being born there, in the next life, you're born as a Hare Krishna devotee. So I was not religious in that life. I wouldn't say religious. I was not worshipping Krishna in that life. How about that? But I was religious in a religious place. It was not Krishna. But here I am with Krishna. So my advancement, I feel a bit scared to saying this in class for everyone to hear because that's personal. But as an example, because just to answer your question, demigods or any other religion, you will progress. But it will take another birth, many births. That's what's going to happen. Any other comments or question? Okay. Thank you for listening. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai.